Like father, like son, poor Tariq, he has gotten himself into some trouble and he may have to pay the consequences for his actions. So, was Tariq too smart for his own good? Maybe. Let's talk about it. Hey, welcome back to the LifeScope channel, where we are doing another Power review, episode 5. I wasn't going to do one until later on when there were a few more episodes that had been shown, but episode 5 was so juicy and I was DM'd and asked, could I do a review? So I said, sure, I don't mind. So I had to come back and drop this one. And also, if you have not seen episode 5, you may not want to listen to this because I am giving spoilers. And if you are one of those people who don't want things revealed or spoiled for you, you may want to tune this out. So now we are coming a little full circle with things. We find out that Monet and Dante have a child, and that child is Zeke. So that's the reason why Dante is sweet on Monet. Because Monet, she is hard now, but Monet has to be hard. It's just the lifestyle that she's in and the partner that she has that she can't help but to be hard, especially if her husband is in prison for life. His name, the reputation, like shields her on the street to where she is protected somewhat and she can conduct business as usual under that name. So the name gave her a sense of power being married to him, and she actually admits that in one of the episodes, that the name gives her a sense of power. So she has to act accordingly, which would be hard. However, Dante, you can tell that Dante can bring a softer side out of Monet. And it makes sense now why he is so sweet on her, because they had a child together. And it was probably way before, all of the drugs, way before who got what. So at those beginning stages or at those building stages, they had a kid. So it's a little different and it hits home. But let's get back to Tariq really quickly. Tariq has a lot on his plate. He's running around trying to get everything set up so he can get temporary custody of his younger sister. And in doing so, he has to get a place. He has to get or show proof of income. And he has to go to court and have a type of appeal or go to a type of hearing where the judge can hear him out. Now, he gets all of this in place, but while he's getting all of this in place, he still has to do Monet's bidding. And one of the things that Monet asked him to do is to check up on Kane. Now, the reason she asked him to check up on Kane is because Kane comes out and he tells her what happened with Jabari Reynolds. Now, the reason for this, why he volunteers this information, is because Zeke is looked at as a suspect or a person of interest. Now, I believe Whitman is the one who released information to Jemele Hill, who was an interviewer. When she interviewed Zeke, and this was something that Davis had set up for Zeke to make an appearance, so it could seem like he is just being slightly railroaded by the cops or being, framed for murder, or they got the wrong guy. So he wants him to make a public show of it. However, it doesn't go well because the questions that Davis thought Zeke would be answering were actually not the right questions. They were questions that were pertaining to specific details that only Whitman or the rest of the cops, but I'm going to say Whitman, knew, and it was released to them. Now, Whitman, he has a bit of a hard-on for Carrie Milgram because he found out Zeke and Carrie had a sexual relationship. So he automatically assumes that Zeke killed Professor Reynolds based off of or for Carrie. That's what he thinks. So he wants to follow that lead. However, Councilman Tate's brother, Kamal Tate, who is a cop, he comes in and helps with the investigation. He doesn't think that Zeke is the one who committed the crime. And when he looks over the information, of course, who name shows up? Tariq St. Patrick, as being not only one of his students, but also one of the people who was the last one to see Jabari Reynolds. Now, like I had said previously in my last video, Tariq doesn't have to be a person that is like pining for attention or wants to put the spotlight on himself, because it's automatically going to be on him based off of who he is and the family he comes from. So Kamal Tate, Officer Tate, looks at that information, knows the history of Tariq, and he wants to follow that lead. He tells Whitman that Tariq got kicked out of his last school for selling drugs. So this just makes sense that Tariq is the guy, not Zeke. So now backing it up a little bit, Kane tells Monet after this fiasco with the interview gone wrong and it was live. He tells Monet, yeah, this is what happened to the professor. Yeah, me and Tariq shot him. I was there. He tells her that. So now Monet is mad. Monet tells Kane to check up on Tariq, find out his whereabouts. Now while she's telling him that, that's when she tells Tariq, you know, you lied to me. You shouldn't have. You know what happens to people who lied to me. What I need you to do to make things right, I need you to tell me who is Kane's plug. Get that information to me. So Tariq is like, okay, you know, I want to make it right with you. That's what I'll do. So he ends up following Kane to Mecca House. And when he follows Kane to Mecca's house, he takes pictures. He tries to go and not necessarily ring the doorbell, but he tries to see if he can get into the building. And when he does that, that's when he gets caught up with by one of Mecca's goons, who ultimately ends up beating him up. So Kane is watching this from inside of Mecca's place with Mecca's chef. And Mecca's chef basically asks him, do you know him? And Kane looks down for a little bit and he's like, nah, I don't know him. Even though he hates Tariq, Kane already knew that he, as well as Tariq, there was a possibility that they were going to be killed. But knowing that Monet and Dante have a child together, which is Zeke, would Dante have killed him? I mean, I don't know. I don't think that Dante is trying to do anything that would just really hurt Monet. So he would have found a reason not to kill Kane, I believe. But we don't know, because that's not how the situation played out. So the guy who is outside beating up Tariq, he just ends up, you know, letting him go, and Tariq he goes on his way. Now, beaten up, looking crazy, Tariq has to go to court like this. He has to get his place, because he was supposed to be meeting with a realtor, with Lauren, to try to go ahead and get a place secured. But he was late doing that, so the realtor decided she didn't want to show him the spot. That's when Lauren steps in and tells Tariq, look, my family has a place that my brother usually stays, and he's not going to be there, so you can temporarily stay there with your sister. So she offers this place. Keep in mind, Lauren has a recording device. They gave her a watch. So she is wearing this watch while she's hanging out with Tariq and talking to him. And this is how Tariq ultimately is caught on audio with the police, and they hear some information, which basically Tariq just tells Lauren when Lauren asks him, "You think Professor Jabari was writing that book about Brady?" And Tariq said, "I know for a fact he wasn't talking about Brady." That was more than enough evidence for them to get a search warrant to Tariq and Brady's room. And this is where they find Ramirez's badge in Tariq's office. So all of this is going on simultaneously, and Tariq has to go to court. Now, on his way to court, Monet stops him, and she basically has him hostage in her car and telling him, "You're lying to me. You didn't even really get enough information like I asked you to. Maybe this is for the best, because Zeke is going down for this murder situation. Maybe this is for the best that you lose your sister so you can see how it feels. And then you will know next time not to mess with me." So Tariq pulls a power move on her, so to speak. He pretty much gives her information on what Drew is up to, what Kane got going on. He really doesn't get into Diana, but he gives Monet information on her children. And then he also tells her, look, who's gonna push your drugs except for me? They off the street. I got this system in place. You need me. So she ultimately lets him go. When she lets him go, he goes into the court and he is awarded custody. When he comes from the court thinking everything is fine, I'm like, okay, I want to see how this is going to play out. Is he going to be in that place that Lauren gave to him? And that's when Lauren is going to find out who Tariq is. But sadly, it did not play out like that. Cops were all over the campus. Brady tries to give Tariq a heads up, but Tariq is arrested. And when he's arrested, he is taken to jail. And Lauren sees it. Professor Carrie Milgram sees it, who, says it's for the best. It was pretty much karma, because that was the theme of this episode, karma. So he's in jail. Now, during this time, I was wondering throughout all of the episodes, when were they going to show a flashback of Ghost? Are they gonna let Ghost talk to Tariq like they have Kanan talk to him? Well, the lawyer who helped Tariq get custody of his sister came to the jail, and he gave Tariq an envelope, and in this envelope it had a message from his dad. And the lawyer tells Tariq, "Your dad set it up that if you are ever accused of murder or arrested for murder, to give you this envelope, and I didn't want to do that. I would hope that you would never be accused of murder for me to give you this envelope." So he's sitting in a jail cell and he's reading his envelope and kind of waiting, wondering, well, what did Ghost say? What was he gonna say? And Ghost pretty much just tell Tariq, "I knew you'd be in this situation, nigga, and you are right where you should be." And it's damn, Ghost, you're gonna, you had that all set up. But it was a valuable lesson, because no matter how you think you can outdo a person who has been there, and then in some cases, you can outdo, someone if you find a new way to get things done. Sometimes experience is the best teacher, and Ghost tried to shield him and keep him away from that life. But Tariq, just being too smart for his own good, and just wanted to go against Ghost so bad, now he ultimately is in the same situation his father was in, and he has to figure out a way to get out of it. And I'm wondering, when it comes back on, who's going to help him? Because Kane really has no need to help him, although when Cain had spoke with Monet, Cain was upset that Monet had Tariq following him. And it comes out that Cain wants his mother's love. He doesn't want his mother to treat him like a henchman or like a soldier. He wants his mother's love. Now, that doesn't mean that Cain doesn't still want to be in the business, but he wants his mother to be a mother to him. And it comes out in that way. Which, this is another reason why Monet goes to Dante and is trying to find an exit strategy. Because Dante had, he came to Monet with a proposal. He had trust funds in Zeke's name as well as her other children. And he pretty much just tells her, look, you don't gotta worry about all of this. I got you. I got the kids. Let this drug business go. Let me take care of you. Be my lady. Sounds like a very tempting offer. And she's very much considering it. I mean, her husband's in prison. Hey, she can get out the life and still be able to maintain the lifestyle, so to speak, or have enough money that she doesn't have to worry. So, I mean, it's looking pretty good. So when she gets home to kind of give that information to her children, who knows how she was going to break the news, but she was going to tell them something. She hears her husband. Her husband finally gets out of prison. Now, we already knew this was coming if you have been watching the episodes, but he's sitting there talking with his children. And you can just see the look on her face that she was just done. It's like, okay, well, what do I do now? How do I even get out of this situation? So that's pretty much, with a few details here and there, that is pretty much it with episode 5. So we have to see now how things are gonna go 2 weeks from Sunday. How things are going to go, because Tariq is in jail. Cain is not as mad at Tariq anymore because he knows that Monet is the one who pulls Tariq's strings. We don't know about Lauren. We don't know how she feels. And I knew that was going to get him caught up dealing with her. So that is going to come out. We have to see how these dynamics play out. So thank you for listening to the Power 5 review. Don't forget to leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment and let me know what you think. Happy holidays. Enjoy your libations and have a good one.